Welcome back. Reports show Nigerians make up the fourth largest group of asylum seekers in the European Union. The United Kingdom, United States, Germany, Saudi Arabia and Italy are top destinations for Nigerians who want to migrate. Thousands risk their lives in journeying across the Mediterranean under very absurd conditions. Some end up dead, some end up trafficked and sold into different forms of slavery. Yet daily, Nigerians keep up with the struggle of leaving the country in search of greener pastures. In 2011, over 27,000 Nigerian immigrants were residents of Canada. In 2016, the number crossed 33,000. As at 2017, there were over 11,000 Nigerian students in Canada. The numbers are increasing as the months go by, and Canada seems to be the new destination of choice for Nigerians.
Interesting. If you had the opportunity to leave Nigeria, will you?
No.
You wouldn't?
Would you?
50-50 to be honest. But to discuss this with us, because this is quite an important situation. It's gone from people being forced out of their states to other places. We've gone from rural, urban migration, and now you have a lot of people living in Nigeria legally and illegally. And so it's important to know why this is going on and also the dangers involved, especially in illegal migration. And to discuss this with us, we have the Director General for the National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Person, the Director General, Dame Juile. Good morning and welcome to the Weekend Show.
Good morning and thank you for having me.
You're welcome, ma.
We see that a lot of Nigerians are leaving the country. We had a discussion about this right before we went on air. You said, why use the word forced migration? And Andy and I responded that due to the socio-economic circumstances of the country, a lot of Nigerians are migrating, and you disagree with that. Tell us why.
I totally disagree with that because, you know, when you look at the caliber of people that are migrating, you can see that most of them are just ignorant people who have never traveled before and who are usually deceived that they have a better deal or they are going to have a better deal when they leave Nigeria to a foreign country, irrespective of their status. And that is why you have the traffickers mainly. Now, I want to restrict this to trafficking because that's my area. And that is why you have traffickers go to rural communities where people have little or no access to the internet, to the social media, to deceive them that there are chances of them having a better living when they go abroad. Because if you check these guys out, you find that they've never been out of their community ever. Not to talk of to the next community or the next village, you know what I mean? Not to talk of Lagos or abroad as they see it.
Well, we've heard of cases where you repatriate these people who are trafficked, who are suffering horrendous situations in Libya, in all these different countries, and they go back.
You know, most of them have been subjected to the worst inhuman conditions you can imagine. And so we have some that have gone off mentally. And that is why it's very important for people to be given psychosocial support when they come back. Because some of them are not the same. You may see them and think they are okay, but they have to be counseled for a long time, for a period of time. So trust me, I've been to Libya and I've seen the condition in which these people live in, and no sane man or woman, I repeat, no sane man or woman would want to go back to the condition they are coming from. So such people need to have a serious psychological evaluation.
Okay, so I'm guessing it's some Stockholm syndrome of sorts where people want to go back to their abusers, and so even when you repatriate them, some of them still go back. But going back to the root causes of this migration, especially illegal migration, if we had social amenities working, if we had employment, will people try to still go for greener pastures? Why don't we, what are we doing as Nigerians and as the government to ensure people don't have to leave because they have access to the basic amenities and life which they want to, which they aspire to get outside?
I tell you what, there are some people who actually had jobs, good jobs for that matter, that left their jobs because they were told that if they go abroad, they will make more money. And when they come back and change the money, they'll be very rich. So what do you say about people like that? Did she leave because she didn't have a good job or she didn't have an education? And that's why I keep insisting that ignorance is a major factor. A lot of these victims are victims of their upbringing. They just believe that anything outside Nigeria is the best. If I leave my country today, after 2 days, I am homesick. I just want to go back to Nigeria. And there's still so many people like that because of the way we were brought up. We were brought up to believe in ourselves and to believe in Nigeria. And so we must have a national orientation to change the mindset of those who think that anything outside Nigeria is the best. We have a lot of foreigners in Nigeria. If Nigeria was that bad, have you ever stopped for a minute to ask yourself, why are they here? They are probably seeing what we cannot see. What we are looking for out there is right here, right here. We need to bring out the creative thinking in us and do something meaningful and useful. Stop asking yourselves what Nigeria can do for you, but begin to ask what you can do for Nigeria. A few days ago, I read something where a Nigerian developed an app and it's going to be bought for like $1 billion or thereabout. We are still waiting to get the fine details of the deal. You know, so there's a lot we can do here, and there's a lot the federal government has put on the table. But so many people are not even aware. Someone told me, oh, you need to know someone before you can get on the N-Power program. I said, no, go to the internet. So that's how ignorant a lot of people are. There are lots of opportunities.
But besides the ignorance, we have a lot of professionals leaving because they don't have the opportunities which would also get them remunerated based on the professionalism and the skill sets which they have. And so if they know they have those other opportunities outside where it's more competitive, so you have bank managers, bank executives closing down shops, selling everything, we wouldn't say that's ignorance. There has to be a reason why from the bottom to the top, we have people wanting to leave Nigeria.
That's a different ballgame, where you have professionals who want to excel in their profession by virtue of more opportunities they would have as regards their skills in terms of technology and all of that. Those are different ball games, you know, compared to those who are unskilled laborers wanting to leave Nigeria to go to a foreign land where they will be treated less than slaves and they will be better off in their country. Those are two different ballgames. And even at that, it is not all professionals that want to leave Nigeria.
Of course.
Because there are still opportunities in Nigeria that they can take advantage of. I, for one, I'm a professional and I can never leave my country. My children schooled abroad, but they are back in Nigeria, they are working here. So it's your mindset.
Would you, I've heard you say mindset a lot, but would you at least acknowledge the fact that the environment in Nigeria, we don't have a conducive business environment for a lot of young people who are coming up to thrive? Because you look at the medical statistics, we have one doctor to 20,000 patients in Nigeria. The Minister of Labour recently said, oh, we have enough doctors.
Surplus.
We have a surplus of doctors, you know, but doctors are leaving every single day. They're leaving the country. And we have some of the most brightest doctors in the entire world, but we don't have the facilities, we don't have the amenities for them to thrive in Nigeria. So would you at least acknowledge the fact that there is some sort of deficiency, there's some sort of deficit in our infrastructural system that are making people leave the country?
You're talking about doctors, so maybe you should direct that question to the Minister of Health. So I'm not going to talk about doctors, because I don't know anything about doctors. I'm not a doctor, I'm a lawyer.
The business environment.
The truth is, I'm not saying that there shouldn't be room for improvement. There is room for improvement, and the federal government is doing all it can to improve the situation in the country. That's for sure. So yes, we can do better. Nobody is saying we have gotten to our best. We are striving to do better. And I know we will get there. It's a matter of time. But if all these doctors you're talking about keep running out of Nigeria, as against staying back in Nigeria to form a consortium of doctors and improve the well-being of the medical environment, then we'll have a problem, because these doctors can come together, form a consortium, and improve the system and put their own quota in Nigeria.
I totally agree with you, DG. This is no personal jab at you, because I also went to school abroad. You said your kids went to school abroad.
Absolutely.
Some people would argue, who are watching, why don't we stay in Nigeria since we're so patriotic? You know, at the beginning of the program, Andy asked me if I would go abroad, you know, if I had a chance to relocate, would I go? And I said no, because I believe in my country, and you also believe in Nigeria as well. So if we're so patriotic, why didn't we school here? Why don't we benefit from the amenities that we are so, you know, passionate and proud of?
Well, fortunately, they had the opportunity to get scholarships, and they made use of it, and they are back here to serve their fatherland. So those are two different things. I'm very proud to say my children schooled abroad, and they are working here. They could easily have worked abroad, but they came back, and they are here. And they don't plan to go abroad. I don't plan to leave my country.
Do you see the difficulty for Nigerians who are watching? They're wondering, yes, we're proud of our country, but we can't even afford to send our children here because we know the deplorable state of our education system. So when do we stop paying lip service and hold government accountable to improve our infrastructure, to improve our institutions? Because it's quite unfortunate that a lot of people are migrating. I'm sure you've heard the rhetoric that I would rather die as a pauper abroad than even be in this country. A lot of young people nowadays have lost hope. They've lost any passion for Nigeria. And I'm sure in your time, you know, when you were younger, you saw, you know, the mass of Nigerians being very patriotic, very dedicated to their country. But in my generation, it's changed. You know, a lot of young people have lost hope in the fundamentals of Nigeria. So how do we rebuild that? How do we stop paying lip service to it and actually, you know, bring this passion that we have to fruition, you know, by galvanizing the support of government and citizens alike to ensure we're building our nation?
Government has never said it has gotten to where it should be. They've never said so. They've acknowledged that there's room for improvement. We are also saying, yes, there is room for improvement. But if everyone keeps complaining and doing nothing, then of course we can't make progress. So these people that are complaining, they can stay here and do something, bring out the creative mind in them. Instead of complaining, do something about it. That's my point. You're doing something, he's doing something. So if all the youths come together to do something in Nigeria, Nigeria is your home. Charity begins at home. You don't move out of your country to empower other countries, because that is what they're doing. What they are doing is to empower other countries, because we have brilliant Nigerians in every field you can imagine. So if they put that brilliance here, they can do something. Government cannot do it alone. There's no way in the world where government ever did it alone. Everyone must come together to do what they can do and contribute their quota. That is my point. That is not the solution. The solution is not to go out of Nigeria and condemn Nigeria and complain. Stop complaining. Come back here and do something. That's my point.
So I get your part of it, and I understand the work which your agency has been doing, also together with IOM, the EU, and a lot of work in Edo State, and we see the results. So there's a lot of work being done, especially for illegal migrants, bringing them back and settling them into the system. But we do have, as much as young people, and I'll speak for young people because that's my demographic, are ready to commit themselves to the nation, strive to do better and develop Nigeria. You have unemployment constantly on the rise. You have Nigeria just recovering from a recession, and you also still have our rising population. Every other year there's another 1 million added. And so there's the desire to do better and to contribute to the development of the nation. But when ease of business is still a problem, take Abuja for instance. If as a young person you're running a business, you are triple taxed. And so people may get frustrated and leave. So what other opportunities besides what NAPTIP is doing to reintegrate people in the society? Besides NAPTIP, nothing else is happening. Nobody is trying to say people should stay back. I studied abroad as well, like Osasu said, but with all the amount of money I've spent, coming back to do NPower, which is basically a little bit above minimum wage, it discourages a lot of people if they know they can get better opportunities, even in neighboring African countries. So there's the desire to do better and help contribute in development of the nation. But what if the opportunities are not there, even as private citizens in private sector? And this goes beyond government.
You see, the problem is everyone thinks of having a white-collar job. We have to get out of that thinking. That's a major problem. Everyone cannot have a job. No matter how developed the economy is all over the world, it is not possible. People must begin to start to think of doing things differently. I tell you what, I was told now that in the youth corps camps, they have skill acquisition programs. So that means that before the end of your youth service, you learn a skill, which is very good. We're also propagating for skill acquisition to be infused in the primary and secondary school curricula. The reason being that in the event that someone drops out of school, you have a skill you can run with. When I was in the youth corps camp, I started doing business with 5,000 naira. And I did so well, and my business grew. That was how I started. My point is that people should begin to think of what they can do to sustain themselves. You cannot keep talking about no jobs, no jobs, no jobs, no jobs. And yet, you spend between 250,000 to 1 million naira to travel abroad. And they dupe you, the traffickers dupe you of this sum. If you give me 250,000 naira and you come back in 1 year, I'll show you what I'll do with it. My point is, stay back home with that money and do something. Make something of yourself.
DG,
and stop complaining.
That's an aspect I would actually want you to elaborate on, that these people actually pay money to be trafficked.
Absolutely.
But before we even go there, I'd like to open up the phone lines. To join in on this conversation, let's hear your thoughts and your questions to the DG of NAPTIP. You can call 080-3333-4770. That's 080-333-4770. So, DG, we're talking, people pay between 250 to, oh, we already have a call coming in. Your name and where are you calling from?
Hello?
Yes, your name and where are you calling from?
Yeah, this is Mr. Samuel from Marba.
Mr. Samuel from Marba, okay. What's your contribution?
Yes, please, I want you to tell the madam there that it's not that easy as she thinks. Okay? That she has the opportunity for our children to go to school abroad. Many Nigerians do not have that opportunity. And she said that her children are here, right here in Nigeria, working. Now she has the conditions. That's why her children are working here in Nigeria. Okay? Because right now she's saying that her children work school abroad. Now they're back in Nigeria. Now the same connection she has that made them go to school abroad, that's the same connection she has that made them work here in Nigeria. Many people do not have that opportunity. So she cannot say we should stop complaining. This country is fucked up. It's messed up. She's living a cycle that is right. That's why she's saying that. Okay? These are not working reality. We should stop sentimental talks. This is not the time of sentimental talks. You are just in a cycle that is good for you. You don't know what's happening in this country. So please, don't come up here and start blaming Nigerians that we are not thinking well. You are the one that is not thinking well. Thank you.
Okay, let us keep our comments and our questions to the point, please. We have another caller. Your name and where are you calling from, please? Yes, your name and where are you calling from? Can you turn down your television set?
I think we've lost him.
We've lost that call. Okay, so just react to the issues. We were talking before about the people who pay for trafficking between 250 to 1 million naira. Can you talk to us more about that?
Yes, you know, these traffickers are very, very tricky. You know, whilst trying to give you the impression they're helping you, they're also duping you at the same time, because they don't do anything for free. Right from the beginning, when they are taking you out of Nigeria, they are already exploiting you. And then they take you out of Nigeria, and then the exploitation even gets worse. So people pay as much as 250,000 to 1 million naira under the guise of transportation and all of that, you know. Some people actually sell all they have. They sell their land, their mother sell their jewelry and all of that. So if you have access to that kind of money, I'll continue to repeat it. You can do something here in Nigeria.
Okay, we have another caller. Your name and where are you calling from? Hello?
Good morning.
Good morning. Your name and where are you calling from, please?
Okay, my name is Mr. Richard Usagede. I'm calling in from Lupi, Airport Road.
Okay, what's your contribution, Mr. Richard Osagede?
Oh, yes, I'm from Lupi. I'm calling in from Lupi, Airport Road.
Okay, what's your question or comment? And can you turn down your TV set?
Yes, I actually wanted this woman came to advertise herself. She's not talking right.
Sorry, we will not be letting. No. Okay, so we will not be. Okay, so here are the rules and regulations. Stick to the point, stick to the issue. This is not a personal discussion. We're discussing forced migration in Nigeria. If you have any point to this topic, then please call in, join in the discussion. Okay, your name and where are you calling from, please?
Yes, my name is Henry Okoy.
Okay, Henry Okoy, yes. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Yanya.
Okay, please, what's your contribution? Keep it short.
You know, these people traveling abroad, I don't blame them. Because the economy of Nigeria and the government of Nigeria has not given us.
Can you turn off your television set? We're finding it difficult to hear you.
All right.
Thank you. Go ahead.
So can you hear me?
I can hear you clearly now. Thank you.
Yeah. So this present government, their behavior to Nigerians, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Yes, has not given us the privilege to feel as if we are Nigerians. So anybody traveling abroad, I give him kudos. You hear me? Hello?
Okay, yes, go ahead.
Yes. So they don't see Nigerians, the masses, as those who are.
Oh, we lost that caller. So this is the general.
You see, why I keep you asked me a question when I started. Why do I keep talking about the mindset? This is the mindset I'm telling you.
Yeah.
We have to carry out a national orientation to change the mindset of a lot of these youths. He is saying he gives them kudos for traveling abroad to be enslaved and killed. That's the mindset. They just think that, look, their solution is to travel abroad. They don't sit to think of, how do I solve this problem? How can I contribute my quota to solve this problem of unemployment in Nigeria? What can I do? How can I bring in my creative thinking? How can I put in, you know, they don't think, they don't want to think any longer. They just think the solution is travel abroad. This is a potential victim of trafficking, trust me. This is a potential victim of trafficking.
Didi, one thing I appreciate about the work that you do with NAPTIP is that you sensitize the general public about the delusion of what it is to be abroad. I remember when I was younger, my chef would say to us, oh, just take me to the streets of America and dump me there. The streets are paved of gold. You know, I will definitely make it. But the reality is that when you go to these countries, you have to work twice as hard as you will in Nigeria.
Even as a professional.
Even as a professional in Nigeria. So I like the fact that you sensitize the viewers. I want you to talk about now before we round up, because we ran out of time. But I will take one more call. Your name and where are you calling from? Sorry. Your name and where are you calling from, please? Hello? Can you speak up, please? Oh, I think we've lost that call. So I like the fact that you sensitize viewers about their. So your name and where are you calling from? I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, my name is Heritage.
Okay, where are you calling from?
Thank you so much. My name is Heritage.
Can you please turn down the volume of your TV?
Calling from Oyobo.
Can you either turn off your TV set or turn on the volume?
Yeah, thank you so much.
Okay, so what's your comment?
What I want to say is that the lady is having the right mindset. But I think the way she is passing the message across is looking harsh. I think it should be balanced. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Okay, listen. This is a conversation which we can't read. It's inexhaustible. But you mentioned the National Orientation Agency. We see what NAPTIP is doing. Will you say...
No, I didn't mention the National Orientation Agency.
Well, you said, we need national orientation. But the question is, we have a National Orientation Agency. Are they doing enough? When I was small, people...
No, you need to direct that question to them, not to me. I can't answer that question.
Well, because the general opinion, growing up as a child, my name is Andy, so there was this advert about Andrew checking out. Yeah. And so people still see me and say, oh, Andrew, are you checking out? And so there was a bit of that awareness across board, speaking about the dangers and the ills. And so we believe there should be a coordinated effort across agencies, across board, to pass this message clearly. Yes, there is NPower. Yes, there are a couple of other opportunities. There's a social investment program, but how much do we know about it? And even as much as clearing the myth of saying you need connections to get NPower, we need the National Orientation Agency to step up and also orient Nigerians about the opportunities out there of staying back here. And that's not you, but that's a general concern.
I think you should direct that to the NOA, not to me. Yeah.
Very lastly, DG, as I said, the work that you're doing with NAPTIP, you're helping in sensitizing viewers. Can you tell, finally, our viewers, the downsides of going out of the country? We've talked about, having to work extra hard. We've talked about slavery. We've seen the videos from Libya about our women forced into prostitution, these men peeing on them, making them do absurd things.
About harvesting people's organs.
Yes, we've heard of all these, but Nigerians are still saying, you heard the people who are calling today, this is a general consensus from everyday Nigerians. So how do we, aside, doing the orientation, as Andy said, and, changing their mindset, what else can be done, to motivate Nigerians to stay back in the country and be safe? And even if you're migrating, do it in a legal way where, your life is not in danger.
Yeah, we can have talks, with the governments of the countries where most Nigerians are migrating to, have a more organized way of having even unskilled laborers travel in a more dignified manner, to engage them for maybe a year or 2 years and come back. Let them actually formally request for them, and then through the help of the government and knowledge of the government and guidance, they can go work for like 2 years and come back. For example, they can say, okay, we want masons, or we want carpenters, or we want, this, kind of people, and then they go and come back. So that kind of arrangements can be done, and we're looking at having something like that in future, and that's it. Because honestly, the downside of migrating illegally are just too numerous. You have organ harvesting, you can be a victim of drug trafficking, you can be a victim of forced labor, sexual exploitation, forced prostitution. You can die. Hepatitis A, B, C, HIV, unwanted pregnancies, forced abortions, all sorts. Just anything horrible can happen to you. And even if you manage to get a job as an unskilled laborer, you just get the dirty, the dangerous, and the meaning jobs. You don't get good jobs. You don't.
Because they're not documented.
You don't. Because they take advantage of you. Nobody even knows your name. They take advantage. Anything can happen to you. The love for cheap labor is very high. And so when it comes to just giving them the dirty jobs, they look the other way and forget that, oh, these are irregular migrants, and just about anything can happen. That's why we keep saying, please don't go. But unfortunately, because of the mindset of people like that, who would say, oh, I give him kudos, oh, traveling abroad, they see it as what word am I looking
great
for here?
achievement.
As a great achievement to travel abroad. That's why I said if you look at the caliber of people that fall into slavery, most of them have never even left their villages before. So this mindset of, the moment I go abroad, I don't hammer, you know. So we need to change that mindset because it's a very dangerous one. And that is what is killing the young ones
That's
today.
a fine place to leave it. Thank you so much for coming on today's program.
Me.
We'll take a break right now. When we return, more on the weekend show. Don't forget, this conversation keeps on going on our social media handles at Weekend Show NG on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Share your comments and your feedback with us. We'll take a short break. We'll be right back on the weekend show. Don't go anywhere.